I am still debuting, and it's almost 9 p.m. on the East Coast. I'm going to introduce you to poet, painter, pianist, composer, polymath, William Bland, and his classical piece, Academia Nuts. Series 2, number 10. Un frammento della commedia. The class turned attentively to the professorio of timed pauses, upon whose lips now trembled a witticism. A funny harp is a pause. Harpoon. A small ha, illuminated by red neon underwear, apostolic yet ultimately industrially stage-weary, melted down through tissues of congealed flakes, while another pause, a pregnant one, made its gentle way over shoe tops and salty tongues of all sorts. Then, a long then, a ripe bursting then, a conceptual then, an expectant then, began implanting noxious weeds into each captured listener's telecommunications devices, which, tuned correctly, would commence an exciting encoded sequence of imploding centaurs' hips, one after another, furioso exaltate, looming over distant, overwhelming waves of crude love, crested, then dissipated. How the various rows laughed at this. The premier seats responded with howls virtually moon-risen. The secondarily seated vocationaires turned into lunatics of the extreme right stage, while those more eccentric-minded cautiously curled at least one lip, as if pure white butter were slipping over their nipples. Statuary of twisted toys buttressed the fennel-covered wooden slats that sailed so rapidly underneath our feet. Energy of torques wrapped in deliciously smooth silken flesh, ripped from front to back where it has never yet survived. Purposely reincumbent as tears circling event horizons in a stranger's gesture, toward a rapprochement of idealisms carried to explosions of passion, broiled within very hot metallic gases. Individuals variously commented on their desires, plainly begging for an extended ex machina to float them over swords and ropes, over pits and rough boards, over sliced demonics, where fear transforms into drool, where filthy tongues from never-sated appetites of minor ashes, from the always hungry monsters of thinly veiled lust, broken by a wide range of possible impossibilities, wreaked luggage that someone must carry, still carries, throughout a lifetime of illusions. Professori know the power of attraction over short distances. Overt motors begin to turn illegally in all their lobes, as commandments issue in every direction, in the Platonic sense of knowledge as a supreme sexual aphrodisiac, while the flowers of bleeding blossoms scent all the relevant surfaces, those that may be touched in a course of struggle. If only the reach were the same as the grasp, sighed a typical example of saintly devotion masquerading as a serious point of view, completely dedicated to the concept of an enclosed area of a square being large enough to lean successfully toward an imagined lover's union. Every moment inside this personal box of rarefied air is a chance to lick honey. Doesn't time pass slowly as a great momentum passes by? Floating toward the green towers, so firm yet pliant. That's where discerning connoisseurs will comprehend that the hunt may start to overtake the hunted. How much room is required to cut fruit? for the sake of fictional heaven? How many knives are necessary to carve slices from innocent heads of grain? Buds are grown, enriched by true sunshine, watered by mercy, happy in situ, until finally some harvester sights the finest, the richest victim, conspicuous by beauty, vulnerable in trust. Sic semper tyrannis, a Latinate motto veritae for the industrial complex, given to regimentation, permits smoking on wires transmitting signals to carnal conventions of fools, while pastel hazes gather in corners of the factorum's dining rooms. This has all been recycling for millennia as a textbook used for instructions on how to unscrew tight lids. Studio non obbligato. That's the shame of sending intelligence into a rude garden. What compulsory ultimatum mandated sending people apart? Something biblical, perhaps? What paradise of hallucinogenic arcana justifies the erasure of even one wonderful, eccentric personality given over to the god of fear? Lawns, or is it cubes, are still being cultivated by multi-doctors whose professoriate desks are industrially prepared to fit into crystals, who have never forgiven Vitamancers for extending life, are torsioned now onto unsuccessful wheels, simply cushioned quantumly for discomfort and interrupted sleep. The professorio spoke again. My flood tide of inspiration has now washed over the beaches of a little place I like to call Psyche Island. A bland expression of horror then crossed the professorio's face as he suddenly heard the screaming of clowns begging for sex in his own language, echoing off chalk. Regardless of that mors amorata, even conceding the never less or more of all, fate, the fantasy of historical memory, must now insist that the lesson of today has been, sadly, surge and destroy. And you pay for this, I ask in sunlight. Oh yes, you reply, as a survivor of the hell of the moon, having escaped the sacrificial thrust. Yeah, I say we go back and listen to all that again. Yeah.